Hey everybody, name is Jeremy Siskind. I'm the author of books like Playing Solo Jazz Piano, books like Jazz Piano Fundamentals. And now one of those questions that we always get as jazz piano teachers is, how do I play out? How do I play out? And I understand the reasons for asking that question because it seems exciting. But an equally interesting question is, how do I play inside but make it really colorful, right? Because when people want to play out, they want to make it really, really colorful. And I get that. We all want a huge amount of color. So what I want to do today is look through a little transcription I did of Chick Corea solo on Windows. And I want to look for ways in which he's playing inside of the changes, because I don't really see him going outside of the changes in this solo. But how does he make it really interesting inside the changes? And I'm going to give away a two-word answer. Maybe it'll be more than 2 words, that we're just going to see him using again and again, which is triads and triads plus one that are upper structures of the scale that he's using. Okay, so let's just take a second and explain this concept. Here, you don't need to see that yet. So let's say I'm using my friendly old D Dorian scale. As you guys might know, within the scale, we can find various triads. And we sometimes call these triads upper structures, right? So, for instance, F major. Now, that one's not that colorful because that's using some of the most basic notes of the scale, right? F, A, and C are going to be the 3rd, 5th, and 7th of the chord. So those are pretty common. If we go up, though, to G major, now that's a little bit more colorful, right? That's the 11th, 13th, and then the root, right? Or even down to E minor, and that's the 9th, 11th, and 13th of D minor. Or C major is the 7th, 9th, and 11th, right? So those are upper structures. Those are 3-note chords drawn from the scale. Now, this gets more interesting if we make it a triad plus 1. And most commonly, we're going to add the 2nd or the 4th. So, for instance, that's adding the 2nd to a C major triad. Or that's adding the 4th to a C major triad, right? F is the 4th in C major. Same thing in G. Right? Adding the 4th or adding the 2nd. Now, this gets even more interesting if we're going to also use a dominant chord and some of the typical scales that go with dominant chords, right? We love dominant chords in jazz. We use all of these different colorful scales, like the octatonic scale, the half whole octatonic, the whole tone, the altered scale. So, if I'm in D, but I want to throw in a little bit of A7, now maybe I'm going to use this altered scale for a little bit of A7, so I can use B flat minor chord, E flat major chord. We already had an F major chord, but now it's even more interesting. A C minor chord. And we can make these triad plus 1s again. Here's B flat minor with a 2nd. Here's B flat minor with the 4th added, or C minor with the 4th added. And so what these different, I call them modal cross sections, taking just a little bit of the mode, is that they create layers of harmony. Because yes, when you play these notes, you're playing D minor, but you're also showing people F major. And so there's kind of these 2 levels of harmony going on at the same time. In my opinion, Chick Corea is a genius at this. And this is, also in my opinion, one of the main things that he does melodically. He's really good at a lot of things, but he's really, really good at finding these modal cross sections and of creating multiple layers of harmony. So let's look at this solo on Windows, one of Chick Corea's most famous pieces, and I want to show you some of the times when he does this. So look at starting right here at letter A. Right, we see this from the very beginning. Here, he's playing a triad plus 1. This is the E major triad. I'm missing a sharp, aren't I? That should be a G sharp. Okay, so here we don't have an F sharp, but I hear this F sharp triad plus 1 plus the fourth. And I should mention, you know, he leads into the G sharp half diminished by playing a G sharp half diminished 7th, right? All those notes again, part of B Dorian. Here, I'll let you see what I'm playing, right? These 4 notes are definitely part of B Dorian, but they also make a G sharp half diminished 7th chord. So kind of interesting. So we're missing the F sharp here, but I still kind of hear that triad plus 1. Okay. Don't believe me yet? Let's look here. Here's an A triad plus 1, right? And then again, he outlines the A triad here. So we're over an F sharp minor chord. By the way, there is one more thing going on here, which is that he's using the A or F sharp minor pentatonic. Do you guys hear the D major triad here? So that's not so interesting. We're on a D sus chord. We do have a D major plus 1, actually. We could even call it a D major plus 2 here because we have both the 4th and the 2nd. Here, and he does this in this recording, every time he gets to the E major 7, he's using the pentatonic scale, the F sharp pentatonic scale, which, by the way, is all the black keys. Here again, we've got an F sharp minor triad. Or, if you prefer to think of it, A major. All right, so here's a really interesting moment over this G sharp 7. Okay, so if we skip the F sharp, we've got E sharp or F natural, A, and C. So here's a different version of a triad plus 1. Here the plus 1 is the flat 2 of the F. And this is all part of G sharp octatonic. All right, so the rest of that chorus, not too much more to explore in this respect. Then starting at 53 here, you could see it's an F sharp triad over the G half diminished. And then we get something I really want you guys to see. So again, an F sharp triad. And then we have these cascading triads that come from the octatonic scale. G and then B flat. And then what do we have in 58? We've got a triad plus 1. This is A plus 1. Here's a triad plus 1 again. This is like F sharp minor plus 1 plus the 2nd. We're almost there. Let me just show you a couple more instances. Right here, great example. Right, he's playing B triad plus the 2nd, B triad plus the 2nd, and then he just transposes that. He plays F sharp plus the 2nd. Right. And then we get here, what's he doing? He's playing D sharp minor plus the 4th. What's he doing here? He's playing A plus the 4th. right? Again here, it's A plus 1 plus the fourth. Okay, I could keep going for a little bit, but I think you guys get the idea here. That there's a lot of other things going on. I'm certainly not going to try to simplify Chick Corea's style to a single trick, but he's not really playing outside of the changes at all. I don't think I could find you a note that I would say is completely outside the changes. Sometimes he's anticipating a little bit, delaying a little bit, but it's really all really inside. But he's being smart about the way that he's layering different sounds. Now, before I wrap up, I want to comment a little bit that one thing you might be thinking about, and you would be justified, is that these things are closely related to the pentatonic scale. Okay, so triad plus 1, right? So here's the C pentatonic, and triad plus the second would be 4 out of the 5 notes of the pentatonic scale. Here's your C minor pentatonic. A minor triad plus the fourth would be part of the C minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so that is definitely important, and this is partially implying a pentatonic sound. But you also find instances where he's playing a major triad plus the fourth, which is not part of the pentatonic scale, or a minor triad plus the second, which is not part of the pentatonic scale. And that's why I think even though Chick Corea definitely is super into pentatonics, we could do a lot of pentatonic analysis, I think this triad and triad plus 1 analysis is just as useful, just as important, if not maybe even in some ways more useful or more important. All right, I hope that was useful for you. And next time you think about I should be playing out, I want you to think about playing in, but coloring the inside in a really interesting way. And I think you're going to be really satisfied with the results. If you enjoyed this, you're probably ready for Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 2, the purple book, the dreaded purple book. If you made it this far, comment with +1. Like, will you be my +1 to the wedding? In the comments, and I'll see y'all soon.